evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for coming. It's indeed my pleasure to welcome you here this evening. Sylwia and I and the other nurses of Ubuntu are so excited that you could join us. Ubuntu is an ancient African worldview based on the primary values of intense humanness, caring, respect, compassion, and associate values, ensuring a happy and qualitative human community life in the spirit of family. The practical nursing students and faculty of the School of Health Science experienced deep Ubuntu when they journeyed to Arusha, Tanzania, and Montego Bay and Kingston in Jamaica, 2009 to 2012. This experience has certainly transformed our alumni. The profound discovery of self, the stronger connection to others, and deeper commitment to nursing and community. This transformation has remained viable in our classrooms when faculty share these stories with current students. Students have used photography, narratives, and various logs to convey their story. I'm also a strong believer that use of powerful words at the right time and in the right context can change a heart, a nation, or the world. The Ubuntu approach to life is quite unique. It's quite amazing. Much time is spent in salutations. Some of the conversations when we greeted people in Arusha last quite a bit. They even told us about their cows, how the cows were doing. When we went to the villages, we had a grand reception. Living and speaking was manifested in singing and dancing, robing and painting. We all learned that our slight Canadian acknowledgement greeting would not work. In Jamaica, people said hello to people even when they met in elevators for the first time. And of course, our no problem approach in Jamaica. This Ubuntu greeting would certainly benefit our stressed global societies. Let's talk more about connection. I was very fortunate to have students at Humber who went to my very first unit that I worked as a registered nurse. Students were there. They even met students from my university. What an Ubuntu moment that was. We have made connections in St. Elizabeth Clinic, in Tanzania, Sambasha Clinic. We have made connections in Sickle Cell, University Hospital of the West Indies, St. John's Golden Rehabilitation Center, Hope Cancer Center in Kingston, Missionaries of the Poor, and Montego Bay Cornwall Regional Hospital. We learned many Ubuntu lessons. We learned that a tree cannot survive a storm on its own. We learned the collective fingers theory. A thumb is not effective without the other fingers. We learned that my neighbor's sorrow is my sorrow, and my neighbor's joy is my joy. We became praise singers. By praise singers, we are able to share with others a genuine word of appreciation. We learn to recognize and acknowledge each other. We advocate for moral regeneration and maintenance of positive values. How can we experience the true form of happiness without connecting with others? We are part of the human family. Let's embrace sameness. Let's embrace togetherness. As the late Maya Angelou says, I know the obvious differences in the human family. Some of us are serious. Some thrive on comedy. The variety of our skin tones can confuse, bemuse, delight. Brown and pink, beige and purple, tan and blue and white. I note the obvious differences between each sort and type. But we are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. Sylwia will take over.
Thank you, Janet. Really happy to be here, really happy to see you all here. It would be difficult for me to talk about and celebrate Nurses of Ubuntu without reflecting back on my journey to here. Growing up in back then called Polish People's Republic meant being watched, censored, and deprived. There was often barely any food on the shelves, and small grocery stores were empty except for buns, bread, and vinegar. There was always vinegar. My idea of leisure time often involved someone shouting that there has been a delivery of a produce, and everyone, children and adults, young and old, would run to the grocery store and secure a spot in a lineup to be able to buy a few eggs and some butter. There was not much food, but there were always people. People talking, sharing, mingling, arguing. My parents instilled in me that if a person knocks on our door, we invite them and offer them food, even if we do not have much ourselves. And that's what we did. Years later, many years later, sitting together with Janet and students in a boma, a small hut made of mud and cow dung. In East Africa, a Maasai woman offered us a warm spiced tea and chapatis. She does not know us, but she knows about caring, sharing, and being together. She knows about Ubuntu. The idea of a small world became our world when we felt as one, sitting in that boma, having many gatherings under acacia tree in Africa and ackee tree in Jamaica. We sat and talked with local women about the things that mattered to them as teenage girls, as young mothers, as widows, as grandmothers. We would wake up every morning with a rooster and go to sleep with indigo sky. The rooster would wake us up to a new day, new conversation, connections, working with mothers, women, children, street boys, school youth, local communities, hospitals, and villages. The indigo sky gave us a permission to feel vulnerable, to feel joy, and to feel sorrow. We discovered that no matter how different our circumstances, we often battle the same issues. We want to believe that everyone on the planet is connected through a chain of acquaintances, and everyone and everything is few steps away. We hope that our exhibition today will tell you a story about humanness as a group of amazing nurses encounter togetherness and honor compassion. Thank you. There are two important people that are part of Nurses of Ubuntu, and one of them already took a selfie and became a face of Ubuntu. They continue to support us and share the vision of connection, community, and understanding. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming our Dean, Jason Powell, and our Associate Dean, Sheila Westmarker.
Thank you very much, Sylwia, and thank you, Janet. First, I'd like to start by acknowledging each and every one of you for making time out of your extremely busy lives to come and experience the Nurses of Ubuntu experience here in the gallery. We all have choices, and this is a really, really, really important initiative, and I thank you all for making time to come here today. To my wonderful faculty, Janet and Sylwia, so few years earlier, when you walked into my office and you presented the concept of traveling abroad with nursing students to Montego Bay and hypothesizing that from Kingston over one very treacherous mountain all the way to the other side on a Knutsford, that you were going to give our practical nursing learners the experience of global citizenship, the experience of cultural humility. All of those things are so fundamentally important to our programs, it made it an easy decision for me as the dean. Absolutely said yes. To then have the learning demonstrated in an exhibit like this and an exhibit like was occurred at Lakeshore 2 years ago is phenomenal. I couldn't be more proud of you, and I hope every one of you here will join me in giving these two awesome women a big round of applause. This exhibit is extremely rich. It has photographs that mean lots and lots and lots. What is even more powerful is hearing from our alumni when they get up in the next few minutes and talk to you about their experience. If anyone in this room ever has an opportunity to experience social justice issues through the lens of international travel, I encourage you to do that. The experiences are much more rich and profound than you could ever get here in the local Etobicoke area. Just ask our amazing alumni and they'll confirm everything I just said. Thank you to the alumni for taking this voyage, and thank you for returning and sharing your learnings with everybody here today. Last but certainly not least, the gallery. Where did everybody go?
Ashley, there she is.
Thank you, Ashley, for your I said something about you, Ashley. No, but seriously, thank you. Ashley, you have choices to make, and I know that, and so thank you for taking the School of Health Sciences on as one of your choice. I really appreciate that. I want to acknowledge you and your work, so thank you. And yeah, big props. And last but certainly not least, I am lucky and privileged to be standing here today with our former Associate Dean, Rosemary Watkins. Rosemary Watkins, for those of you that don't know, is an absolute, steadfast, committed nurse leader. I ask all of you to listen to the words that she says. She is extremely influential, and I really, really, really thank her for witnessing me take a selfie today and not throwing up. That was awesome. But for always returning to us, because just because you're retired does not mean ever that we don't value the things that you have to say. So I thank you for coming today, Rosemary. So I am really here to thank all of you, to certainly thank my amazing faculty for all the amazing creative ideas and for turning these ideas into real life learning. I know now that I've done that. And I know now that I'm standing in the way of you hearing really important people deliver a really important message. On behalf of the School of Health Sciences, again, thanks to each and every one of you for making time to come here today. And thanks again, my most amazing faculty. I am so proud of you guys.
That means I'm standing in the way because I'm not the most important to speak. Clearly. I'm actually just going to say these two are awesome faculty. They've challenged me in many ways, but in a nutshell, you are the pioneers of challenging us and bringing amazing teaching and learning to our students. And this is like an alumni party as I look at all of them, and I was not in this role. I was actually your faculty, so thank you for all being here. It's exciting. So I'm going to stay out of Rosemary's way.
Oh dear. Jason, you set me up.
I did.
And we are happy to have Rosemary Watkins. It was 2009 when Sylwia and I went into her office and we told her about our dream. And she supported us and she's made it possible. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Rosemary Watkins.
Well, I've read all the testimonials as they have come up, and I can't top those words. They're absolutely beautiful. I remember Sylwia and Janet coming into my office and sharing with me their vision. And I may have pressed the button, but the passion, the dedication, the commitment, the hours of hard work, the vision is all theirs. I simply basked in their glory, to be honest. When I look back, initially I thought, what a wonderful idea. Students will go to another country, they'll experience another way of nursing, they'll see another culture, they'll contribute, they'll share. I had no idea. I hadn't heard of Ubuntu. I've been reading up on it since then. But what it says to me now is, nursing is a knowledge profession. It's a practice art. And we can get very hung up on the skills and the techniques and everything that goes along with being a professional. But perhaps the most important quality of a nurse, and we're not special, we're ordinary people doing an extraordinary job, I think, is the ability to be therapeutic, to connect, to live with purpose, to see every life as a gift, and to pass that message on in the spirit of community and healing. And so what I'm sure happened to our alumni when they experienced the lived experience of a different culture with not nearly so many resources, and yet being able to sing in the morning, celebrate life, what that must do for practice on return is to truly embody being with one's patient and the family. It heightens the awareness of therapeutic relationships and communication. The ripple effect when we dropped that pebble in the pond was huge, and it spread a long way, almost global proportions. So it's my privilege to be here and see all of this and reflect back on that day in my office when Janet and Sylwia came to visit me, and look what happened. So I'm just delighted to have been a little part of it when it first started. And I have to run off and teach. And I have no idea what I'm teaching, so I better go and have a look.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rosemary. So what we would like to do next is invite the alumni to the front and give them the well-anticipated opportunity to share with us a little bit about how this international experience influenced their education, influenced their current practice, how we know Ubuntu is about connection, community, and understanding, and they will share with us a little bit about how do they practice Ubuntu as a nurse and how they are connected with others. So please come up front and tell us your stories. So Erin, Denise, Crystal.
Thank you.
We don't have all 20 individuals, but we're thinking about them, and your stories will resonate. So.
I'm not doing it. Oh, God. Okay. Let the actor go first. It's fine. Hello, everyone. My name is Denise, and I'm part of the 4th cohort, I believe. I'm the group, along with these lovely ladies here, who went to Jamaica, and we learned a lot while we were in Jamaica. The one idea about Ubuntu that I took away from this experience is that when you're in school here in Toronto, Canada, or when you're practicing in a healthcare facility, all you keep hearing is that there's not enough time. There's not enough time, there's not enough time, there's not enough time. So you rush in and you do your assessment, and then you rush out and you get your medications, you rush back in, you force feed the medications, and then you rush back out to the next patient. And what I took from this experience is that there is time. You just have to make time a priority. You have to make your patient a priority. So it's about, when you're assessing your patient, to actually ask relevant questions, not just have them be a body on a stretcher, but try to find out what is it that they need. Yes, they need to have their antibiotic, that's fine. But do they need to have their hand held for 5 minutes? Can you give those 5 minutes to have an actual connection with someone? And because of my experience with this Ubuntu crew, I realized I do. Because when we were in Jamaica, we spent a lot of time giving emotional support for some clients because of some of the difficulties we may have had, but we rolled with it. You don't want us to practice some things? That's fine, we'll find other things to do. I can't give that medication, I'm gonna go spend time with Mrs. X. So we spent time with Mrs. X, and we learned that Mrs. X is dealing with so much emotional baggage, and she's been laying on the stretcher for weeks at a time, and no one's been giving her any mind. So this lovely team stood beside her. I think Heather did her nails, if you know who I'm talking about. Heather did her nails. I read her scriptures from a Bible. Some people sang to her. We realized that human connectedness and being a community to people, even when they are sick, is the most important gift you can give. And I think when we were, I'm not going to speak for all of us, but when we were at St. John's, Nurse White, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not good. My memory, my students can say, my memory's not good. But Nurse White sat us in a room, and she had us write down 4 important things that we could not live without. I wrote down food. I wrote down love. I wrote down music. And let's say I wrote down shoes, because I don't remember. I'm old. So every time she would ask us a question, she'd take away one of those pieces of paper. And by the end of it, you didn't have any pieces of paper left. And that was supposed to signify that that's what our patients are going through. They are powerless in our hands in the healthcare facility, and we have to be able to give them back something. So if it's our time, if it's us listening, if it's us using solar, if it's us using solar and just being appreciative of their experience, then that's the smallest gift we can give in order to bring connectedness into their lives.
I'm not ready. Go, Crystal.
Hello. Just holding the mic makes you shaky. I'm just going to read what I wrote. Prior to applying to the Jamaica pre-grad experience, I was very scared and doubtful. I'm open and not open to change. I like the idea of it, but to act on it is completely different. I had a friend of mine, Roxanne, who was so enthusiastic about this trip and said, "You should apply." I was hesitant, but I did. I was preparing my mom for it. She thought I was joking. Then bam, it was happening. They planned a surprise Bon Voyage party for me, and they made a scrapbook saying so many positive things about me that without this opportunity, I would have never known. Because when does such an opportunity come up like this, where your strengths and how people see you are openly expressed? It's minimal at times, but it's so inspiring. It helped me build relationships and strengthen ones I already had, and I wasn't even flying yet. I will admit, I got homesick. But that experience, it was an experience I could have never imagined in my life. I'm an island girl. To experience another island, the people, the health system, was not only inspiring, it was eye-opening. It was forgiving, and it was such a beautiful culture. It taught us how to be resourceful, how to be open to certain trends so prominent in another culture that here in Canada we might have looked down on, or due to our upbringing and environment and what status quo says it is. It left me with such openness, respect, and vulnerability to want to help people with an exceptionality, culture, race, and diagnosis. It didn't matter. It allowed me to realize that something so close to my heart, such as emotional intelligence, mattered. And no matter whether or not you had the time, you would find the time. To encourage someone not to give up who reminded me so much of myself. Constantly needing that inspiration and encouragement, who knew that no matter how much you didn't believe in yourself, it was still possible to inspire others. And if it was their time to venture into another world, that a peace of mind and comfort was so simple yet necessary. Who thought that this experience would teach me how to connect with all of these ladies that ventured on this experience and then become our house conflict manager? aside from all the different personalities and differences within our home. No matter what is going on in my life right now, one of the most amazing experiences is my Jamaica experience. When I meet someone for the first time, somehow this experience always arises above anything else as a topic of discussion. Automatically, it gives others individuals an open aspect to start a relationship. It's an amazing asset to both my professional and personal life. It's necessary to venture out into something you would never have considered on your own. There'll be positive and negative aspects, but you'll always, always leave with something to make you stronger. Thanks.
Well, my name's Roxanne, and what Denise said, I'm part of the Jamaica cohort that went, and I don't have anything prepared as closest to as form as Crystal, but I'll speak a little bit about my Jamaica experience. From the very beginning, before this was just like a dream for Crystal and I, we were on the phone one day. Sylwia, Heather, and Manuela had asked me, why don't I go? And I was really reluctant to it. So talking to Crystal on the phone, we dreamt, oh, it would be so nice after work, going to the beach, you know, drinking after work, no teachers, no preceptors, but boy, was I wrong. And right then and there, I learned, looking back now, that I thought I was always a solitary person. I was always a loner. But right then and there, looking back now, I realized that I can't do it without someone else. I asked Crystal, I pulled Crystal with me. I said, Crystal, I'm not going to do it without you. So there we were going to Jamaica. Very final minute, we asked Sylwia, are there still more spots? And I don't know if they made spots for us or not. And I learned in Jamaica and through all the process that I needed to let go. I needed to be a little more open-minded. When I got there, again, my mind was open again, that whatever I had predetermined in my mind what it was going to be was not at all it was going to be. Jamaica sounds like it's a paradise, and it was, but when you're there in a different element, you're out of your comfort zone, we surely got homesick. There was a moment of our experience where we went from high to low within 2 hours. And Sylwia, thank God she was there to uplift us, and Janet was there for that short amount of time to uplift us. And we didn't know what to expect. And I realized that all the things that I valued that I'm here are not really what I valued, such as like a phone or the food that I missed. I miss them, but what I miss the most are the connections I have here and the connections that I built with these ladies. These experiences we will forever take with our lives. We will always have that connection with them. So I thank the faculty for giving us that experience. Like Crystal said, we will always bring these topics up whenever we talk with someone, whether it's regarding nursing or life itself. I learned that through the patients that we helped, that they helped me more than I really helped them. I learned more about myself than I could ever, like the nursing skills, someone else can take that and do all that stuff, but I learned for myself that I needed people, that I learned from people who are also vulnerable. The people that need my help, I need them as well. So as a Nurses of Ubuntu, we always need each other. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Heather. I'm one of the nurses that went to Jamaica as well. Denise mentioned they called me Nurse White down there. Yes. No, I know. So that was a nickname that they gave me down there. It was really, it was an amazing experience down there. I saw so many things that I would have probably never seen in a clinical up here in Canada. I took those experiences and all the things that we learned. I remember we arrived back here, we graduated a week later, and in 4 weeks I was in my new grad initiative, working full-time and using everything that I had learned down in Jamaica up here. And I had coworkers just wondering where my knowledge was coming from as a new grad. I've been in so many different aspects now of nursing. I went from palliative care
with cancer to rehab. I did med-surg, labor and delivery. I've been a community nurse. I'm now in public health, and I'm also a float nurse throughout all the hospitals in Toronto. So I'm just glad that I went there. I experienced what I did with the limited resources that were down there. I think we learned to use a rubber glove 100 different ways. More ways than what we ever thought. Other than wearing them on your hand. IVs, hanging IVs with different objects because there's no poles, there's no, we had to make do with what we had down there. The beds were not electronic, so how we raised the head of the bed by using simple things that up here you wouldn't even think about because everything up here is just, it's easy. Press a button, bed is up. There's no manual labor per se, okay? Because you have a lot of help here if you need it, but down there, you're on your own, right? Love the culture, the people down there was really good, and I just brought that up here and used that in my nursing career up here, and I found that every employer that I've ever applied to looks at that experience on that resume from that trip, and they're astounded by it because they're just, not a lot of people get that opportunity to get that, and it's gotten me jobs wherever I've wanted to work, and I'm just grateful to be here, and hope everybody has a good evening.
So I'm Erin, and actually it's so important to me for me to be here because I'm actually taking time out of my son's birthday, who's today. His impact in my life, and he's been on, sorry Brayden, but he's been on my journey of nursing from the beginning. He was there when I opened my stethoscope and cried that I got accepted to school. I had to consider him when I was leaving. And against all odds, really, I decided to go to Africa. I worked in a hospital already, and I had a choice to take the easy route, where I knew everybody, I knew the environment, easy clinical, like easy. And I decided, of course, to take the road less travel. And it changed my life. It changed my life. I'm never gonna be the same. It's guided my practice. It's guided my education, because I know I need higher education to continue traveling, to teach, to do many things. So it changed me, and it made me realize that even though I flew for 2 days, it was so far, but it was so close. Like the world became very small to me. And they taught me how to be humble. They taught me how to be kind. And I realized all this stuff that I learned in the textbook was my knowledge, but it taught me how to trust my gut. I walked in, I know. And now working on the floor, I don't freak out. So it gave me some great skills, but to be able to connect also with people from different backgrounds, like obviously I'm not one culture myself, but it just taught me how to connect in a different way and appreciate what we have. I can't even put into words. Like it's a surreal experience. It was a privilege. It's inspired me like right down my core. All I ever talk about is Africa. My whole place is African. There's African, ask Brayden, poor guy. There's a zebra in my room. There's tribal stuff everywhere. And it's not just about that. It's because of what I had to do to get there. Was a huge sacrifice. What I did when I was there, you went from laughing, crying, nauseous, excited, all in 30 seconds, and then repeat, and then repeat, and then repeat. And those people with even language barriers, it made me realize that the skills are universal. The language is the least that you have to worry about, like how you can connect through body language, through gestures, through just, hand holding. You realize we're all the same. And it was just amazing. It's impacted me forever, and it's inspired me to probably do international again. Who knows when or where? I'll let you guys know. I'll probably write about it or something. But it was fantastic, and I appreciated it. And I thank my son for me to do that. He inspired me to do it all, honestly. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.